Sean Ford, Amy Tant either kept the book or the clock. Mr. Troll filled our schedule with competitive games and made arrangements for travel. Coach Rennell drove the bus and waited for my long post-game talks to drive us home. Coach Dewey for sharing the court many times, Mr. Vibo, Dr. V, and school board for their support throughout the season. And I'd like to thank my assistant coach, though he's not here, Coach Eford, for his support, comments, encouragement, and insight as we enjoyed coaching together. I hope to do it again sometime with you. And a very large thank you to the parents. Boys, give your parents a hand if they're here, or give them a hug later. And remember, do all.
Our next team is our middle school boys basketball blue. Coach Dewey Scott, and I believe Coach Ford is going to be a dad today during this.
All right. Whew. Thank you. Apologize for my glasses and my card, but I can talk, so I need stuff to keep me in line here. So, at any rate, first of all, congratulations to all the award winners so far. Matt, Cam, congratulations to you guys. I recruited both of those young men at 4 years old to play baseball, and that's not something I'm proud of. But hey, nice to see they continue that tradition. Both fine athletes. So, with that, let's talk about middle school boys. This is my second year as head coach of the middle school boys blue team, and 6 returners from last year's team, which was not our best season ever as far as record, but this season we've made tremendous improvements. We had finished with a winning record, 9-8, tripled our win total from previous year, and this group of young men is a very special group. I've been involved with a lot of kids. I think this probably might be one of my favorites. I know a lot of these boys, but every day they come to work, and I'm not an easy boss, and I'm not always fun. But credit to them. You know, they took ownership of what we wanted to do, and they really impressed me. You know, as both as their coach, as a fan, just as a person. I have great respect for all of these young men up here. First of all, I do have a number of people to thank really fast. Sean Ford was assistant coach for me. Cannot thank him enough for being assistant. My psychiatrist most of the time, keeping me from jumping off the deep end. But he's such a fantastic job. I can't thank him enough. Miss Tant kept the book for us. She done a fantastic job. Miss Raynell driving the bus to, chauffeuring us all over North Carolina. Thank her for that. Just hard work, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Pender, everybody involved with the live stream. It's such a great tool that parents and fans have to be able to access games. They do such a great job. And Mr. Troll, thankless job that he has. He works so hard to provide opportunities for so many kids as well, all the way up administration. Thank you guys so much for allowing these guys and the hard work that you put into it. So with that, talk about our team here just for one quick second. As I said, we were 9-8, and we had a very good season. Like most teams, we had good times, and we had times that weren't so good. We entered Christmas with a winning record, had a fantastic 2 weeks of practice over Christmas, and we were riding high, feeling good about ourselves. Just in time to get kicked in the teeth 3 times in a row by 30-plus points, and hence the psychiatrist attitude. But being a coach, I think for everybody here, the wins and losses are extremely important, of course. It goes along with it. But the thing for me personally is, seeing kids get it. When you work, hours upon hours on something, and you think they'll never get it, and all of a sudden you see the light bulb go off, and we got a chance to see that. Next to the last game of the season, after 3 30-point blowouts, when I had zero confidence that we could do well, these guys went out, took care of the basketball, attacked, and we beat a Wayne Christian team that's exceptionally good. And, and we just snowballed it on to the end. So I think they learned a lot, and I think as a coach, that's what I'm most proud of. And so with that, it's hard to just take 3 of these guys to highlight. I could highlight every single one of them, but we'll keep it to 3, and I do have 3 awards. And my first award is Most Outstanding Player. This is a young man who led our team in every statistical category imaginable. Points, rebounds, steals, you name it, he did it. I've known this young man a long time, since he was 5 years old. And this is kind of emotional to say, but it's funny because first time I saw this young man play t-ball, I thought, maybe athletics is not his thing. But such a credit to him as he has grown to become not only one of the best athletes at this school, but in this county. And that says a lot for him, and also says not to judge kids at 5 years old of what they'll be. But special young man, our most outstanding player is Connor Ford. My next award is my Defensive Leadership Award. I've known this young man here a couple years now. He and I have some great history. He was on our team last year. The first real experience that I had with him was in our first game when I took him out of the game because I felt he needed a break. And he come by me and in a very animated form told me he didn't need a break, he wasn't tired. And we had a little heart-to-heart about that. But since that day, I have so much respect for him because he has passion. And he brought passion every day to practice, every game. He was a leader, putting guys where they needed to be. He's that coach on the floor that all coaches love to have. And you always knew that he was going to give you everything he had. He was our top defensive player in the middle. Fierce competitor. Our Defensive Leadership Award, Adair Ortiz. Okay. Final award is my White Star Award. It's my second annual White Star Award. Basically what this means is I took this from Upward, if you guys are familiar with Upward basketball. After each game, teams get together and you give out stars to your players. Different colors represent different things that they did during the game. White star was always, it's a Christ-like star. And I didn't really understand what that meant. So I made up my own definition of what I see White Star Award to be. And I always said that it was if Jesus was a person here, how would he play the game? And I think he would be a very fierce competitor, goes hard, plays hard, is a good teammate, is a good sport, and it generally goes about things in a very positive manner. And this guy exemplifies that every day to the point where I yell at him and he don't even look like he's mad. It's so frustrating to me. But, tell him to do things one time, he does it. Does things wrong, you correct him one time, he corrects it. And he's always ready to play. And he's a very well-liked young man, and including me. I think a whole lot of him, and I'm very proud of what he means to our team. And our White Star Award goes to Aiden Tant. All right, with that, thank you guys very much.
Our next team is our middle school cheerleading squad and Coach Elena Zander.
Okay, I hate getting up in front of people and talking, so I'm going to try to make this short and sweet, and so we can continue with award ceremonies. This was our first ever, legit only middle school cheer squad, so I was super excited to have two true teams. Although Coach Joyner and myself, she's not able to be here today, it was a little bit hard for us to try to balance because to try to figure out cheering for the middle schoolers and the varsity squad, and we were going to be at these games and these games. It made for very, very long days for us, but we are thankful for all of the parents' flexibility in the many schedule changes that became just due to sickness or conflicts or whatever the case may be. So we appreciate that. Mr. Troll, thank you for letting us have a middle school cheerleading team this year and all the flexibility that went into that. So on with it. We only have 7 girls, so I figure I can just give a little short blurb about each of them. Maddie Brewer always let me know who was going to be out. She was kind of the mom of our team, per se. So I definitely can see her in the future making sure that, we're always on our toes, making sure that we knew what was going on for practices and all of that stuff. So I appreciate that. Michaela and McKinley, the two of them, they stand right next to each other, and I always got them confused. But they were always willing to be our bases for the stunts that we would have with the middle school team. They did whatever we needed to. I knew that I could call on them when I needed somebody to be our leaders at our games. Daisy and Chloe never, ever, ever let us go a single practice or game or anything without having somebody laughing or smiling ear to ear. Hannah was our quiet, reserved cheerleader, but always gave her best. She learned cheers quickly, even when she was out due to sicknesses or anything going on. And Charlie Kate, our lone 7th grader, who came in, she worked hard. Towards the end of the season, we realized just how quickly she picked up on cheers. She was willing to try anything that we asked her. Towards the very end of the season, we decided to throw her in some stunts, putting her up for call-outs, and she always did stuff without complaining, and we're super appreciative of that. Each of the girls was valuable to our newly formed middle school squad, and Coach Joyner and I thoroughly enjoyed having each of them with us this year, and we look forward to all of you coming back next year with a handful of new 6th graders and maybe some 8th graders that will be here next year. We have a small token of our appreciation for each of you. You can get after the JV awards are all finished. But on to the awards. We have a High Flyer award. This year goes to Daisy Tyson. She was dependable. She let us throw her base her last minute during the Christmas Classic when she had never even practiced the stunt with us. And we look forward to everything that you have for the future for us. And then one of my favorite awards, this is a Glitter Girl Award. For anybody who knows me knows that I love things sparkly and shiny. This particular girl was always smiling. When she'd make a mistake, she just kind of laughed through it. She was the one that was kind of making us laugh every time that we cheered at a middle school game. She was always bright and sparkly every single day, Chloe Sadler. So I look forward to all of you all coming back next year and working really hard as we grow our middle school team and find some captains for the future. Thank you guys so much.
All right, the next team is the JV girls basketball team. If you would come forward. So before I get started with the girls, I would be remiss to not mention my assistant coaches, Mitch Hayes and Reed Petway. Without them, this team wouldn't be what it is. Both teams wouldn't be what they are, but they're incredibly helpful getting things started, helping make things go when I am involved in other things or having to deal with other things. And so I'm very appreciative of what they meant to this team. So to start off the season, we looked at the sign-up sheet, and the three of us sat down and looked at it, and we were like, wow, we're going to be pretty good. And then we played our first game, and we said, wow, we might not win a game. And so the season it started from a place that we thought was very good, then it was at a place that we thought, wow, and then it actually ended in a place that was really good. The improvement of these young ladies was incredible over the course of the season. Anybody that watched probably before Christmas and even the first week or two after, it was hard to watch. It was really hard to watch. We had a game that I think was in single digits both ways, or we lost 12-11, I believe, which was quite, if y'all remember that, and was not our best performance. So we made it to the playoffs. We were able to beat Bethel here to send us to the JV semifinals at Union Grove. And we played at 8 o'clock at Union Grove. I'm sure you'll hear from Coach Scott here in a minute about the environment there, but it was a really loud and kind of raucous environment, which is not a bad thing for basketball, and it just depends on how you handle those things. We took a ton of good shots. Over the course of the season, we didn't always take good shots, but that night we took a ton of good shots. We just didn't make very many of them. In the end, we didn't make enough to win. We lost by 3, 28-25, and that was the end of the season. But fortunately for these young ladies, that's not the end of their career. I see a bright future ahead for all of them. There's a lot of hard work that needs to be done, a lot of improvement that needs to take place over the course of the next 8 months before we start again, but the talent is there. And so I think you'll see that as we move forward. I could say good things about each of these girls. We don't have enough time for that. We've told them, we spent quite a bit of time in the locker room after the game, kind of talking to them. And I told Coach Scott this before. I told them that night, the one thing you can remember after a loss is when you walk out of that locker room, your parents are still going to love you, and the sun's coming up in the morning. So it's not the end of the world. We hate it. We don't like losing. It's sad. But in the end, there are better things ahead, and so we have to remember that. Have 3 awards. The first is to a young lady that has played for us, I think right now is the 3rd year. This is going to be the Charger Award, and she represents everything that is a Wilson Christian Charger, to be a part of the Lady Chargers basketball team. She was a leader. She was a quiet leader. She always did the right things, always worked incredibly hard, and so the Charger Award goes to Hannah Parker. And she'll turn red and be embarrassed over there, so you can see that. Anyway, the next award is First Outstanding Player Award. This young lady skipped a year of basketball. I hate that. She missed a little bit because of some travel things, but in the end, she was the young lady that made us go. When she wasn't on the court, you could tell a huge difference. She got better shooting the ball. In the last game, I was very impressed with her willingness to drive to the basket. I think if she continues to work and put some time into it, just a little bit of time, not a lot, just a little bit, that she's going to be an outstanding player. This Outstanding Player Award goes to Bree Little. And then this is my favorite story from the basketball season, and it's just one of those things. So this young lady lives in the shadow of her siblings quite a bit. And I know everybody knows who I'm talking about right now, but her sister Kate went to Cape Fear Academy, hit 9 3-pointers, 9 out of 11, broke the school record. So the next night we were playing, or the next game, we were playing at Bethel. And if I had it on film, I would have it on repeat all the time. But she goes to the top of the key, and she hits a 3-point shot, and she gets fouled, and she turns to her sister in the stand and goes, ah. It was fantastic. Now, when you look at her, you don't see that. But it is absolutely there in her heart, her desire, her effort. She was a really important part of our team this year, an important part of our success. She's going to be a great player moving forward. I know she'll continue to work hard. Very much appreciate her attitude and her work ethic. The Outstanding Player Award goes to Lily Hoskins. Again, I'd like to thank these young ladies. Very much appreciate their hard work and their effort. It was a great season. I'll miss, the hanging out part that you get to do before and after games. I know they'll work hard to get better in the future, and good things ahead for all of them. Thank you, ladies. Our last team and coach are the JV boys basketball team and Coach Linwood Scott.
I too have to have my glasses. I apologize. First of all, I want to start out, Mitch Hayes is not here, and I want to just start by thanking him. He, for the help he gave me this year, he brought a lot of experience to our basketball team, a lot of experience to me. Mitch is going through a lot in his life, but he still found time to come and help me and come and help Brian with 2 teams. And I really appreciate what he done. I hope these young men realize what Mitch sacrificed and how fortunate they were to have Mitch as their assistant coach here to help them. Our season started out fast. We had tryouts. We had 2 practices, and then we started with a game at Greenfield. Of all opponents to start your season with after just 2 practices, it was Greenfield. We pretty much got whooped. Let's be honest, there's no need to sugarcoat it. I don't sugarcoat it with these guys. You ask them. I don't sugarcoat much. We come back the next night and played here. We come out for warm-ups, and I looked the other end. I looked at Grace Christian, and I thought, oh, my goodness, we're fixing to get it again. But we didn't. These guys found a way to win, and they pulled it together fast. We had some ups and downs before Christmas. We had some good games. We lost a conference game that we didn't want to lose. But I kept telling these guys, I said, guys, let's just make it to Christmas. If we just make it to Christmas, we'll have a good week of practice, and we can clean up some things and get everybody on the same page. And that's what we did. We finished 8-5 before Christmas. We had a good week of practice, 4 or 5 practices in a row. They were really good. Varsity boys come out a couple of times and helped us in scrimmage and helped us fix some things. After Christmas, we went 15-2. Won a game, the conference games against Bethel. Come back and conference game we lost before Christmas, Hilltop, but we played them after Christmas, and we made sure that they understood that we were the better team. Won a big game at Cary Academy. Bryson took the ball and hit a shot with 1.9 seconds on the clock to help us beat them, and probably one of the biggest wins in Wilson Christian JV history. Then we went the next night to Wake Christian, and we got humbled. We really got humbled that night. We left Wake Christian that night. We were a different team. I told these guys, I don't know if they noticed it, but I noticed it. Mitch noticed it. We were completely different. We won 11 straight games before it ended last Friday afternoon. We finished 23-6 on the regular season. We were 15-2 after Christmas. Those 11 straight wins included a win over Rocky Mount Academy, who hadn't lost a JV game in 2 years. It included Wayne Christian. We were down 13 points at halftime. A very good Wayne Christian team, let's say that. We were down 13 points at halftime. We come back the second half and won that game, and Wayne Christian had beat Greenfield 2 nights before by 20 points. We had a great season. Our season ended last Friday afternoon, not the way that we wanted it to end. Like Coach Troll said, Union Grove was a tough environment, small gym, fans were sitting right on top of you, it was loud. And we put up a good fight, but it just wasn't meant to be. And we won 11 straight games, and our dreams kind of got crushed that afternoon. And I was telling Coach Brian up here, that walk from the court that afternoon to the locker room, that was a hard walk. Walking in that locker room to talk to these young men, that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. But I told them that we were going to focus on the positive. We were not going to focus on the negative. And that I was proud of them, not just for what they have done on the court, but for what they had become. And I give this little diagram to the parents a week or so ago in a meeting, talking about these guys. Our top 2 or 3 guys, the guys that we always depended on, guys that were sort of always in the limelight, the guys that always got the headline, those guys always used words like we and us and team. It was never me and I. Times it could have been me and I with those guys, but it never was. Then we had another group of players that we talked to. I talked to during the season and explained what the team needed from them. Here's the role I want you to play. Here's the things I want you to do. You need to stay away from these things. And they may not have liked that, but they accepted their role and went out every game and played hard. Then we had a group of kids that probably didn't get to play as much as they would like, but those guys come to practice every day. They practiced hard. Many practices afterwards, I told them that how hard they worked, how good they had done. They had give our starters some real competition and made them better. They were here to make themselves better. In games, they were always cheering, always clapping. Several times, the official had to stop the game and ask them to sit down. And I turned around and tell them to sit down because that's what I was supposed to do. But inside, I was bursting in pride because they were working just as hard on the sidelines as those guys were working on the court. And so what I was proud of is because what they have become as a team and a family. And that's what I was so proud of. My awards, we've got 4 awards. And I think when you get to the JV age, when you get to this age, I let the guys vote on who they thought deserved awards. After I got all the votes in, me and Mitch looked it over, and certainly we agreed. These guys saw things like we did. A lot of guys up here deserve an award. When I got all the votes in, after the 4 kids that get an award today, there was 3 or 4 kids that only got 1, maybe 2 less votes. And so you guys that don't get an award today, your teammates noticed your hard work and your dedication to this team and what you meant to this team. My first award is Charger Award. Award goes to a young man. He's got a heart of gold. People ask me about him, and the words I use to describe him is he's a great kid. And that's pretty simple definition, but that describes him. He comes to practice every day. He works hard. He's always asking me and Coach Mitch, Coach, what can I do to get better? What do I need to work on? I pass him in the hallways or something if I'm out here a little bit early, and it's always, hey, Coach. I've never heard a foul word come out of his mouth, and I've never heard anybody speak a foul word of him. He's always encouraging, always cheering. He didn't always get the playing time he wanted, I know, but when he did, he always took advantage of it. This year's Charger Award is Cameron Ricks. Okay, my offensive award goes to a young man that was new to Wilson Christian basketball this season. I didn't know this kid. I knew his mother from softball days. But again, we had a tryout. We had 2 practices, and we went to Greenfield and played. And he was not in the starting lineup that night because I really didn't know. I was guessing. I was just guessing at the time. We put him in the game, and he'd give our offense a real spark, hitting threes, driving to the basket, getting to the rim, scoring, rebound, putbacks. He did that the whole game. He did that the whole season. After the Greenfield game, Mitch come up to me and asked, said, well, what'd you think about the game? I said, well, one thing I know is that Jones kid is going to be in the starting lineup tomorrow night. He continued that way all season, hitting big threes, scoring when he needed. If we ever took him out, our offense took a real dip. He was a vocal leader on our team. He asked me early in the season, said, Coach, can I break the huddle after timeouts and halftime thing? I said, yes, sir, buddy, you can. He always come to practice, worked hard, always had a smile on his face, and always had a kind word. Our offensive award goes to Braden Jones. Okay, our defensive award goes to a young man that I coached in middle school, and he was not here on the team with us last year and come back to school, and I was happy to see him return. Very good athlete, very good young man. We early on in the season, we realized offense was probably not going to be our problem, and I just kept telling the guys that we were going to have to play defense. If we can, as the way we play offense, if we just play a little defense, we'll be okay. And this was the guy that bought into that, heard what we were saying. He heard what me and Coach Mitch were asking, and he got after it, and he really improved his defense and added it to his game. He played in the back of our 1-3-1, and if anybody knows anything about it, there's a lot of ground to cover back there, but he was back and forth and all over the place. He was on the back of our press a lot of times, knocking balls away, getting steals, and transitioning that into offense. Oftentimes he was asked to guard players, stop players bigger than he was, and he was always up for the challenge. One of our better rebounders, especially in the second half of the season. And so our defensive award day goes to Titus Batts. Now, our next award is MVP. This is an award, I don't recall giving out an MVP in middle school because for me, I think an MVP has got to check a lot of boxes. In pro sports, we see a guy score more points than everybody, plays on a mediocre team, and he acts crazy, and they call him an MVP. In my book, that's not what an MVP does. This young man, he's not only MVP because he was our leading scorer or because of the rebounds that he got or the assists or because he took the basketball and he hit that shot with 1.9 seconds on the clock to win that game. He's not only an MVP because he's a one-man press-breaking machine, but there's a lot of other things that he does that you may see in a game or you may not. A lot of other things behind the scenes that you don't see. The reason he's an MVP is because he's unselfish. He's unselfish almost to a fault some nights. He's an MVP because he embraces his teammates. He makes everybody around him better. He's giving instruction in practice. He's getting people in the right place. He's an MVP because of his work ethic. He works hard. Away from the court, he comes to practice. He leads by example. He's the most skilled player we got, but it didn't matter. He was the hardest working player that we had. He's an MVP because of the respect that he showed me and Coach Mitch. I told him earlier in the season that I was going to be leaning on him and I was going to ask him what his opinion was or what he thought was going on. And during timeouts and halftime, we would ask him, and sometimes we're good, Coach. And sometimes he would say, well, Coach, why don't we try this? If I said, okay, let's do that, we'll try that. He went out there and he played hard and he gave everything he had to execute that plan. If I said, no, let's stick with what I want to do, he went out on the court and played hard and he tried his very best to execute that plan. He showed a lot of respect. He's an MVP because you see him after games sitting in the stands with an iPad and cell phone watching games. Might have been the game he just played. It might have been a game from back, looking and seeing what he needs to improve on and what he needs to work at. He's an MVP because after a loss here at Greenfield, that night, late at night, his granddad told me that he was out shooting baskets, getting himself prepared for the next game. And he's an MVP because when I asked these kids to vote for an award, he didn't vote for anything for himself. I started to text him back and asked him, son, have you been watching the same games I've been watching? Because if you have missed something. And even though he didn't bring his uniform on picture day, he's still our guy. This year's MVP is Bryson Martin. Well, I'd like to thank Mr. Brian Troll and Mr. Vibo for giving me the opportunity to coach. I really enjoyed it. Ms. Debbie Robbins, Michael and Hughes, Seth Troll for working my book, Parents, thank y'all. Even after that game that we lost out, we come out of the locker room, all the parents were around, giving words of encouragement, and I really appreciate that. And even after a game, a few words of encouragement from your parents as I interact with you at the games really mean a lot. Varsity girls, varsity boys for helping us practice. They definitely made us better. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Again, I'd like to thank all our coaches, all the players, all the time, dedication. Appreciate everybody. It takes a lot of people to make this go. You all are a part of that, and I very much appreciate it. Thank you, guys.